Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, your honest book reviewer with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Darkest Night, 22 Winter Horror Stories. It's a short story collection of horror stories based around winter and Christmas time. It's edited by Lindy Ryan. I'm not a huge short story fan. I don't go out of my way to read short stories, but the concept of this collection intrigued me. To combine or to twist Christmas and joyful occasions and things like that with horror, with dark elements. I found that fascinating. I wanted to see what it was like. There are some big names in this collection, but I think it's not the big names that I found the best. It's stories by smaller names that I thought were so well done and very engaging in this collection. But with 22 stories in this collection, I'm sure there's something for every reader. So for this video, I'm not going to talk about every story in this collection. So instead, I want to focus on the stories that really engaged me, that I found the best out of those 22 stories that make up the entire collection. The first story I want to talk about is called Nice, and it's written by Nat Cassidy. I enjoyed this so much. It felt like 80s and 90s horror to me. It has a simple concept, but it's done so well, and the structure of this short story is so well done. It doesn't feel rushed, it feels complete. I enjoyed it a lot. So basically, it's about kids being naughty or nice and having that naughty or nice list that Santa has. And then who's nice gets a gift. And the elves who make or prepare the gifts, they're a bit sick of kids being so nice all the time because they want to get a gift from Santa. It's more work for them. So there's a group of elves that want to convince kids to be naughty. That's where this idea comes from. And this one elf goes to one kid and says, hey, you can be nice by being naughty, because by being naughty, you're being nice for the elves, you're giving elves a break. So this kid decides to take that on board. And in this story, you get to see just what he does to be naughty. I just found this concept was so simple, but so effective in this story. It's so well put together, so well written. And what happens in this story is very surprising. I loved it very much. If you just read this collection for this story alone, I think you'll love it. I don't know if you can find this short story anywhere else, but I enjoyed this short story very much. Eggnog, written by Christy DeMeester. Now, I found this just a perfect revenge story. It's a revenge story with a twist, and it all takes place at an office Christmas party. So basically what happens, we have new parents. They've got a young baby, very young, and the mother is still staying at home, and she doesn't get out much, and she's feeling a bit low about her life because it's all about the baby, and the husband's still at work, and she's staying at home, and sometimes she feels stuck. But it's their first time to get out after having the baby, and she's going to her husband's office. When she gets there, she finds there's all these people there she doesn't know, but then there's a lady there, and this lady is single, and she's dressed up very attractive and she seems to be flirting with this woman's husband. And so this woman starts to wonder what's going on there. She trusts her husband, but she ends up hating this woman. This woman who's flirting with her husband, flamboyant in how much she's flirting with this husband, out in the open, everybody can see it. So this young mother and wife is thinking, well, this woman's got to go. What do we do about this woman? And there's quite a big revenge twist in this story. And I wonder if a lot of people get squeamish about this story, about what happens, because you may feel that when you read it. I just found it quite perfect. It was very twisted, very dark, but it was done very well. There's a kind of a sense of humor in the way it's done as well in the story. I just love the way it was structured. I like the character. I like getting into that character and just reading her thoughts, reading her thought process about what's going on in the office party, and those thoughts that lead her to think about doing something and then doing it, and her thoughts afterwards as well. She has this kind of almost joyful glee at getting revenge on somebody in the story. And I just found that, even though I'm not somebody who gets joy at being vengeful, I don't like revenge per se, not in my personal life anyway, but in this story, I just found it it kind of fit the Christmas theme in a way, because it was like this character's Christmas gift to herself to get revenge on this woman in this office who kept on flirting with her husband. So it was quite well done, I think. I think it's almost perfect as a short story. The Vermin Moon, written by Hailey Piper. This is a play on the Pied Piper story, of course, based around winter and Christmas time. And it is quite twisted and quite dark, but there are two big things I like about this story. I like that paranormal side. It's more paranormal than horror, but I also like the human side. The human side, the characters in this short story, they're very well done. The emotional impact about these characters, especially the main character in this short story, is just amazing. It's so spot on. It's so perfect. You just feel everything this character's feeling. And you kind of get to witness almost her history, her complete life in a way. And especially the life of maybe the past year or so before this short story started, just feels complete. And I don't know how in a short story, so it's not very long, don't know how you can kind of fit so much into that short story to give us a big picture, a complete picture of this character and her past and how she's feeling about her future and her present, all that just tied into one. I enjoyed it so much for that. And that was stronger to me than the horror and the paranormal aspects. So even though those aspects were quite strong in this story, that emotional thing going on, the human side to this short story was the strongest, especially in the main character. A great short story, still twisted, still dark, but just wonderfully written on that human side. Wintry Blue, written by Christopher Golden and Tin Levin. I enjoyed this a lot. So it's another one that felt like 80s and 90s horror. Those kind of horror books I would have devoured in my teen years and had that same feel to it in this story. It's creature horror. Not just creature horror though. It's also a bit of a shock horror as well. Also tense horror as well. There's great tension build up in this story. But it's like two stories in one as well. It's not just one horror story. There are two angles in this story and they combine very well in the book. We have a father and daughter who are traveling to spend time with family for Christmas. And the road they're taking, it feels like it's almost snowed over, like they shouldn't be driving on it. They feel very closed in. Then we have this young couple and they're hiking in the forest with snow and everything. They're trying to find this old house. And apparently this old house was a site of a murder or some sort of rituals in the past. And it has all these rumors about it, like urban legends about it. They're going there. And something happens when they get there. I won't say what it is, but it drives this creature horror when they get there. And then these other characters in the car get combined in that because they cross paths with these two other characters. So I know I'm not giving you, definite detail about the story, but I don't want to give it all away. But I found it so well done. I just felt like it was two stories in one, but both stories were written so well. And when they combine, it's almost perfect. It's brilliant, in fact. And I just think this whole story was just well structured, well told. It feels complete. And again, that 80s, 90s horror feeling in the story felt so good to me because I love that feeling in books. I'll quickly mention 3 other stories in this collection that I thought were good. They weren't the best, but they're also standouts. The first is Being Nice by Jeff Strand. This is like a campy horror story, a campy Christmas time horror story. If it was longer, I think it would have been better. I think it suffered because it was so short. But because it's like twisted Christmas, campy, dark humor, it works. And I'm not one who really likes comedy horror that much, but I think it worked okay in this short story. Thor, written by Rachel Harrison, is like a Christmas time spooky horror spin on Cabin in the Woods story. We have a nice comfy scene inside with a couple, and then we have this sinister outside things going on. And that kind of contrast made this story, the build-up, the tension build-up, stand out a lot for me. The ending of this story was a bit, I didn't really like the ending that much, but that build-up tension towards the end, I think, was the standout. Mr. Butler, written by Clay McLeod. Look, when you read this short story, you won't look at a cardboard box the same way ever again. Again, it feels like 80s, 90s horror. I like that feeling. And it just was a bit fun as well. It was dark. There is violence and horror in there. It is a twisted Christmas story, but it is a bit of fun behind it as well. So I think the author had fun writing this. You can kind of tell that when you read it, but it is enjoyable. Out of the 22 stories in this collection, I found 4 fantastic, perfect. I found 3 worth mentioning, and the rest were just okay to me, some not so good at all. So overall, I rate this collection a 2 out of 5. If you like Christmas, if you like kind of horror twisted Christmas time stories set in winter, you might enjoy this. If you love Christmas and hate the idea that anybody can take Christmas and twist it for horror or paranormal reasons, stay away from this collection. But like I said, there's 22 books in this collection, so I think there's something for most readers out there. On my channel, I review many horror books. If you enjoy horror, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to another video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.